Hi, I'm your friend Bruce Burke, and we're back again under the auspices of the absolutely incredible podcast here. My friend John and I have been talking for a while here, and we decided to do a podcast together about what's going on in AI. So, without any further ado, I want to introduce John Lawson III. And John, please introduce yourself and tell everybody what's going on. And
So I've been in technology, I'll say that, for a long time. The beard shows it. Yes, absolutely. I am a dinosaur. We do exist, you know. But the deal is, I've been in the e-commerce space for like 25 years, and in the last, let's say, 8 years, I've really got deep into AI, and I know that predates what everybody thinks AI started with ChatGPT, but it's been going on much longer than that. And so I just think this was a hot topic, and it's really the time because there's so much fluff out there and hope and promise. And I want people to understand, there's some real stuff going on. Like, this is real this time. So
yeah, this is like you said. I was born in '59, but I've been doing tech since '80, and even before that, Commodore 64 and stuff like that. Right. So to me, the AI thing, once you start seeing it in action and seeing it actually work, and you realize that there's like nobody behind the curtain and there's no that kind of stuff, right? That it's very powerful.
yeah, yeah. And I think for me, it's like every time I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I think it's going to tamper down, it takes off. And it just keeps taking off and keeps taking off. And so now I think we're in this game of leveling up, where each AI developing company, there's only like, five or six, maybe eight in the world, but they are rolling out uh, different versions to try to up the game fast. And I don't know where we are going now. I mean, it's like the tiger's been let loose out the cage, and it's so exciting.
They're leapfrogging each other
Yes.
or attempting to in many different categories now, because now it's all about the multimodal and the deep reasoning and the if you can generate art, can you generate voice, can you generate music, can you generate text, can you generate video, can you right like can you generate models, toys of me, it's really interesting to watch it all unfold. I started doing the newsletter, I don't know, 325 issues ago. So let's say it's
Wow.
350 days ago, right? I found AI kind of the second time when I started doing the Fin Plus AI conference. Like about 2 years ago, we started on that. I had a friend, and I had been in fintech and doing fintech stuff, which is very e-commerce type related stuff, right? For a long time. And I had this friend contact me, and he says, "Hey, do you know what's really hot in like fintech and banking right now?" And I was like, "Invisible payments, embedded banking." Like, I'm so bored with all this stuff, right? Because I've been doing fintech from before they called it fintech, right? And I was just so it was so it just felt like I was slogging, slowly through tar anymore, right? And he's like, "No, AI."
Hmm.
I went and did a little research. We talked a little bit, and I went and did some research, and I just started googling and what you do, watch a few YouTube videos, get some expert opinions. I found it really interesting,
Yeah,
and I found it even more interesting now than fintech.
I think so. I think so. But kind of they're all converging. They're all converging, and I think AI is allowing that to happen. And so I look at AI today, as like it's a platform, you know, and everything is going to have a component of AI. And that's why it's like AI everywhere. Everything people are just saying, oh, I got an AI this or an AI that. And that's because people are starting to finally build on it. And it's going to become a point where, just like mobile was a platform, right? But nobody today says, we have a mobile first, business model. Yeah, that was so what, 2010, you know? But today it feels like all this brand newness, but tomorrow it's just going to be table stakes.
Yeah. And to go back, I said this was like the second time I discovered AI. I want to tell you a
Yeah.
quick story. I may have told it in another video, but I'm going to tell it anyway. 1999, 2000, I was in the prepaid phone card industry. And that industry, because of one, cellular, and two, VoIP, was starting to kind of crater, right? They didn't need to pay phone in a international long distance anymore. They could do it via the internet or a cell phone. So um, I was laying around licking my wounds from that industry collapsing because we were making a ton of money in it. And the guy I was living with at the time, we had a great big Mitsubishi Diamond Vision TV. It was a flat screen projection. So you can figure like around the time it was. And we had PlayStation 2. And so I'm sitting on the couch for days at a time playing one game, which is Virtua Fighter 4. And I like it because I've got this character, Lei Fei, and it's Anakana Kufu, is his, right? And in this game, you could use AI to train your fighter to learn the other fighter's moves so you could be all of those fighters combined. And like I said, I was there for days, right? With cobwebs growing on me on the couch. And I learned all this stuff, right? And after that, I never really screwed around with it again, but it was very interesting. And I almost fell out of my chair. I was watching the Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, was the keynote at CES this year. I didn't go to the event, but I watched the keynote. They broadcast it on YouTube. He walks out on stage. He's got his brand new black alligator jacket on. He's, he's got all his latest chips and his Blackwells and his, I don't know what's coming down the line, but it's bigger than it was. And he says, "Hey, I've scrubbed more toilets than every one of you guys put together, right? I've done it all. I'm the humble CEO, right?" And he says, "I got my first break." He says, "I was doing like the graphics cards, and I was doing the video, the sound cards." And he says, "And Sega gave me a break with my AI, and they let me put it in Virtua Fighter 4. And that was my first opportunity to start selling AI essentially as a product." And I was like, "Oh my God, I use this guy's like first, AI stuff, right? Like ever, right?" And it was weird. That kind of stuff is just like, is it coincidental? I don't think so.
Yeah. You're going all the way in. You're intertwined with this advancement with NVIDIA, all the way back to that game. That's crazy. That's crazy.
PlayStation 2, John. PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2.
Those
Where
don't
we
even
at now?
work if you buy them anymore. Even if you get a good one, you're going to take it home and the rubber band's going to break, right? Nothing.
I mean, how are you going to even use that thing? But I mean, I guess the game is available, right? Like if you
I'm
get
sure
an
there's an emulator somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
I haven't tried to play it again.
I have to look it up on YouTube. I bet it's out there. It's kind of crazy.
They've got a whole series of videos for each character, because each character has like 10 moves, for the cut scenes.
Right.
And so they've got each character has a cut scene trailer, right, with all their different cuts put together. Lei Fei, Leifi, Virtua Fighter 4 was my guy. A little skinny Buddhist dude with the orange robes hanging, and I don't know, he had some kind of tattoo or something on his head or something, I don't know, but
and you got
I
to
made
get
him
ready to fight.
He was a monster, boy. I wish I still had saved all that. I wish I had all those cards and everything still. I think it was his set. So, yeah.
Right, that's true. I guess there would be a little bit of nostalgia around that as the first AI character. And now look where we are today. I mean, and it's kind of fun. I see what people are doing in general public, making, cartoons of themselves talking and, um, the little like GI Joe sets or whatever those things like Barbie kits. I don't know what they are.
Action figure.
Yeah, the action figure sets. But for me, I've always been one to. I always have this idea of how can I use whatever that technology is to sell stuff. I mean, that's how I got into e-commerce. It wasn't like I was a big fan of the. Once I recognized that I could actually sell stuff with eBay, then I became totally in. And then it became a idea of how can I use this tech to do it faster and better and less human effort and more computer understanding. So when I look at what's going on right now and the advancements that's being made, I'm always trying to put it back to how can a small business owner use these kind of technologies? And I think that's really what, this show and how what I kind of bring to this space. I don't know.
No,
That's just a unique way of
and
me
I
thinking.
and I really think that's obviously that's kind of the audience you have, right? It's also kind of the audience I have. Like how can an entrepreneur do a startup, right? Like how can you go from zero to hero, right? And right now in my life, I'm starting a new chapter, right? So this is all part of that. And funny enough, I was getting ready for this, and I was like, okay, it's about time to go out in the studio, get the computer restarted, blah 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 blah. And I asked Sarah, I was like, what time is it? And she goes, it's 11:11.
Ah,
And so new
ah,
beginnings, right? That's the spiritual number for new beginnings and starting on new things. So Spotify. Yeah, that's my language anyway. I make up words as I go along. Um,
okay.
so
Glad to know this.
sometimes I can't grasp the right adjective to describe how I'm feeling about something. So I just make a noise that, like, because that's all words are, anyways. You just make a noise that people understand, right? So I just make a noise. And for the most part, most of my friends and family kind of understand it. So,
Well,
yeah.
there you go. See, there you go. Now I get it. All right. So let me ask you, why should the layperson pay attention to what's going on right now in their business or even if they haven't started a business, they got an idea. Why pay attention to this AI stuff?
I think I don't want to put a number on it, but it's definitely a uh, exponent, right? It's X10, X20, X30, X40. I've heard different numbers from different people in different capacity, but it's always an X. It's accelerating whatever they're doing. It's allowing them to do things maybe they haven't done before or had a really hard time doing. And I've heard for at least 7 to 10 years now that there's a forthcoming creator economy that's going to
Hmm.
happen, and essentially the meek shall inherit the earth, right? Kind of an idea, right? And that there's going to be explosion of people creating, and it's going to create a environment of abundance because everybody can create and everybody can buy and everybody can sell. And I there had to be a catalyst for that, and they kind of thought Web3 was that. And Web3, I'm sure, is going to play a part in that. And I think they kind of thought that crypto was going to do that. But so many people, pulled into scam city with that a lot of people got afraid of it.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of that coming with quantum, of being able to attack something not with just ones and zeros, but 16s, 18s, 24s, right? So I think it's going to be an accelerator for creators.
Hmm.
and accelerate that creator economy as a long view perspective.
Yeah, I think
And it's
you're right.
already doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's doing it for me. It's like I'm able to, have an ideation, and go from ideation to actual something that at least is a working uh, 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 protocol. Is that the right word I want to use? It's a working product that would be, just a small, it's like uh, something that I know that I can test and see if this thing is actually got a market for it. And that is not, and I don't have to build a team around that. I can literally just use AI as my team. And I look at, I don't remember who said this, and I was like, AI is a tool. We get that. Um, but it actually makes us superhuman. And and I was like, what do you mean superhuman? And he compared it to a bicycle, right? And it's like bicycles riding up and down the street by themselves would not be that impressive. I mean, it'd be a spectacle, right? But if you get on the bicycle and instead of walking, you're able to use that tool to propel you from point A to point B at an X amount of rate, that's where we are today. And
Exactly.
if we look at it like this, then it's like, okay, I get it. This is what it's able to do for me. And I can actually bounce ideas, in that ideation phase off of um, a chat GPT or a Claude or a Gemini, at this point, DeepSeek, whatever one you pick, and it'll give me another perspective that's outside of my head. It'll make me think of things that I'm not thinking. It'll give me viewpoints that I'm not thinking about, and I'm like, I think that's pretty good. I think that's really good, actually.
Yeah, like I've got the Meta glasses, right? I'm wearing them right now. I don't have them on because things will come in, the text will come in. I can't block on this, right? But uh, I have the live AI, so it has computer vision. I can tell it to start a live AI session, and it's constantly recording, and it can tell me what it sees. It identifies dogs and plants, and almost anything you want it to. But it also the live AI, it's continuous. You don't have to keep saying, "Hey Meta, hey Meta, hey Meta." Once you've started a live AI session, you can go until your battery's dead and just do a continuous stream of consciousness kind of thought thing.
Hmm,
So it's really good for uh, verbally bouncing because there really isn't much visual output other than the companion app, and that's just on mobile, right? Uh, but it reads environments very well. I was really kind of surprised. There was at the same time these kind of came out. There was a few other AI pieces of hardware that turned out to be like not really very good products, right, in the market. But these, from the time I opened the box to the time I used them to right up to today, they keep adding improvements to it. It works exactly as it's supposed to. It's a simple setup. It's pretty much flawless, and it's a good product. Um,
really?
yeah,
I got to play around with that.
yeah. And I got the transition lenses because I didn't want to be that guy wearing the sunglasses inside, right? So I got the transit. But if I go out in direct sunlight, they don't turn like a dark color. They're kind of like a old school Florida green sunglasses, kind of, right? They have kind of have that look to them. Um, but they're very handy. Just for I'm walking down the street instead of pulling out Siri and all that. I could just hey Meta, right? It's the same thing. It works
Hmm.
exactly the same way, and it will route directly through to Apple Music and play the music I want. It will. I've got Calm on it for meditation and relaxing. Now I can start Calm sessions on it. You can hook up Spotify. You can hook up your Amazon Music. Um, what's there's a 5 or 6 anything Audible if you got Audible and you like to listen to audiobooks, so anything that's auditory, they're coming out with a new one that's apparently going to have a screen in the lower right hand corner of the glasses where the Google Glass had the cube up here, and I had those. This will be like, it'll project on, but again, it'll be a really lightweight computing interface like Google Glass was, right?
So you actually see text right now through the glasses or no?
No,
Okay.
only on
So
the companion app on the phone. What
okay.
it shows you is it will show you the pictures you took, and you can just immediately transfer from the glass to your phone. Video also. It will show you the AI interactions, what question you asked, what it saw, and what its response was, and it keeps a log of that, like entirely from day one. Um, you can set up all your services and connect all that, and that's pretty much the beginning and the end of it. It's audio only,
Okay.
other than looking at the companion app to mostly for pictures and videos and transferring them back and forth.
So okay. So it's basically audio interface back and forth. So it you can hear it and it can hear you. And then it can see whatever it's seeing through the so it's got the audio part and a video part for interaction right now. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Right
Gotcha.
where it curves here on the side, right where it's
Uh-huh.
just before your ear, there's a little speaker there
A
and
little
what
speaker,
there.
yeah.
And it's little spatial audio. It's little tiny
Right.
AirPods, right? It's really good. It's not really loud. If you're walking down a street and there's traffic going by, you're not going to hear it, right? And you're not going to hear it in a crowded bar or somewhere like that. If you're doing phone calls, there's 5 microphones. There's one in those. There's one over here. There's one over here, and then there's 2 back here, right? So they're doing space. They're picking up sounds and getting rid of sounds just like everybody else, right? And so for phone calls, they're great.
That's
Uh,
cool.
you don't have to hold anything. You don't have to have anything stuck in your ear. And if you're doing a Instagram or a messenger call, you can share the video from your glasses
So
with the
that you're
person
seeing
you're
right
calling.
now. Ah. All right. I mean, I think that's pretty tight. Uh,
It's a lot. It's a
it's a
lot.
lot. It is. And do you find yourself using your mobile device less or more?
When I don't wear them like around the house all day long because they're not glasses. I don't have
Okay.
prescription
Prescription in
lenses.
there. Okay.
And usually when I'm typing or working on the computer, I have some kind of glasses on, usually like my old desk glasses, right? But when I go out, I put them on just for that moment that because you could just reach up and snap a picture or hold it down for a second and start a video, right? Very quickly. You can say, hey, Meta, take a picture. You can say, hey, Meta, start a video. You can ask it a question in real time. It's always listening, right? Are they collecting data and are they training their
Of
LLM with
course.
it? Are they listening to me when it's not on?
Of course.
Right. But
But here's the thing, everything is doing that. This is the thing that people need to understand. Everything is already doing that. Your
yes,
car is doing that.
yes.
People don't really get it. It's like your car is already reporting where it's at. The fact that we have Google Maps is simply because our phone is able to report everywhere this phone is. That's how you can be on Google Maps and it sees that there's a traffic stop and traffic is because all the phones have that data going up to the
It's a
cloud.
big mesh
Exactly.
network.
Right.
Big,
So this
huge mesh network.
idea that all of a sudden we're going to be watched, look, that played out 20 years ago. We're already all being watched. So
Yes.
don't feel like that's going to be some invasion of your privacy. It's already been invaded. Now they're just letting you know that it's being
I was
invaded.
going through my settings on Substack today because I was hooking up some of the outside podcasts to the Substack podcast, right? The Apple and Pocket Cast and that kind of stuff. And there's a toggle switch. There's a bunch of settings, right? And there's a toggle switch. Do not use my data to train Substack AI, right? And all that, right? But it says if you turn this on, some of the features of Substack just may not be available
Yeah,
to
they
you,
just
right?
won't
So
work.
yeah.
They just won't work. And
Yeah.
all of the data is being aggregated. Let's just put it like that. I'm putting air quotes around it.
Yeah.
So it's being transmitted in a fashion that it's not isolating you per se.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
they're anonymizing it,
Yes.
probably very similar to what Apple does. I'm sure they're building a profile on me. I mean, just even though I ask them not to track me on YouTube and everything else, they're still playing ads that are obvious things that I have interest in, right? So they're getting it somehow and feeding it back, right? If they get you on one device, it all feeds back because you're signing into all your devices with the same accounts. So
Yes.
all they got to do is catch you on your iPad or catch you on your phone outside of the territory someday. And, oh, we got another piece of info on that dude. Right?
And I mean, people don't even understand. I mean, all the browsers do that. All the browsers, everything you browse is training the browser. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, this idea of privacy is so overplayed at this point. There's not a whole lot of privacy. And the other side of this is that if a company abuses your privacy, that company would probably be out of business. So it's just like Google, you know, um, they know everything that we've ever typed into Google, and they can actually isolate that by the user, probably by the IP. And then ultimately, if I put the IP to the personality based on my input profile, they already know who I am, where I did it. But if they ever took that data and we felt like they were abusing that data, then we'd stop using the tool. So there is a balance to what they're going to do with our data, because if we lose trust in them, we will never use their tool and they will go out of business. So
Yeah.
you have to, I
It's
think
like a
people need to
fine
feel
line
that
that
too.
they're
It
sitting
is.
on, right? It's almost a razor's edge. So while we're on that, I see a lot of talk about, and it seems like there's two viewpoints on copyright protection and stuff
Yes.
training AI. That was a big controversy last week with the
Yeah, yeah.
studio Ghibli, right? I've heard people say everything that's being made after the first time it was made, other artists learn from other artists, writers learn by reading other writers, right? Everybody learns by reading books and watching TV, and the TV shows are created because of they're being inspired. Where do you sit in all that? It seems like there's like they shouldn't be doing it, and they're citing public use and trying to get the government to okay it, and I don't care. Like they're going to do it anyway, right?
Well, it's already been done. You can't undo it.
Yeah,
Here's the thing, I can't take your works out of the training data from AI. It's already in there and it always will be there. So it's not like they can extract out, oh, we're going to take out these works by this person. That's not going to happen. It's already been done, right? I think we're at the point probably where, similar to music and radio, where they're going to have to pay a quote tax of some sort, and it's just going to be settled in court with a number, and they're just going to pay that out, and that's going to be it. There's no way that you're going to be able to say, uh, because the stakes are too high. The stakes are too high.
especially with America trying to win the race against China
Exactly.
and everybody
Against all
else,
the,
right?
yeah, the stakes are too high. It's already set in stone. This is going to happen. So now I think these people trying to protect their copyright have to start thinking in a very practical manner about how they want to settle. Because if their desire is never use my stuff without my permission, you're going to lose. It's just they're going to figure out a way to get
There's no way
around
to
that.
back the truck up now and
No,
dump it off, right? I mean, it's
right.
just not going to happen. So um, with that, um, where does that leave like creators, right? I mean, that leaves creators with like, if listen, if you're not prosecuting the AI company, can you prosecute me? Right? I mean, like, what is patent infringement, right? What is copyright infringement anymore, right? I mean, but
I think
it
they're going to have to
really
figure this
changes
out.
changes a lot of things.
Yeah, I think there it's going to be a new shift. Um, and also at the same time, I think human ingenuity, in whatever that word is that I want, but human intelligence is going to be different than artificial intelligence. But um, we're going to flip the world from um, us trying to learn AI into AI, or AI is learning about us, right? So it's like right now, I want to learn how to use this tool. Ultimately, the tool's going to learn how to communicate, use us. And it's
Yes.
just, I mean, it's just, I just, you gotta, it's just the new reality. And I don't know how they're going to settle it, but I guarantee, like you said, the race against China and the rest of the world means that it will be settled and they will get access to all the same data that everybody else has access to.
Yeah. It's very interesting to watch it all. Like I said, I just started the newsletter just a while back, right? And finding four stories that are, I want the top stuff that everybody's talking about, right? And four videos every day, and reading through a lot of different stuff every morning to publish that newsletter. I feel like I'm right in the middle of it all, right? I'm finding out who the people are that are doing it, who's the companies, what's happening. And when you watch it on a daily basis, like every day, and you're, really tracking it, it's astounding. And the amount of money that's being thrown at it, oh my God, right? It's absolutely insane. I cannot believe the amount of money that's being uh, funneled into AI. Just yesterday, Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, right? They're $20 billion venture fund to back U.S. AI companies because we want to win the race, right? But they're getting it from international investors because they want to invest in U.S. companies because they believe in U.S. companies in the AI space because we've pretty much proven we're pretty strong on it, right?
Right, 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 right.
So
Well,
that
that's interesting too, because I just saw, and that's very important because I just saw a story recently about, I think it's Stanford put out a AI index, and
yes.
they're showing that the performance gap between the U.S. and Chinese AI models is shrinking. While the U.S. is still leading in the quantity of models produced, China's models have rapidly started closing that quality gap on benchmarks. And I mean, this is a space age race. This is where we're at this point. And I don't see that slowing down. The amount, like you said, the amount of money, because what are we investing in? We're investing in intelligence. Where this is the closest thing that any of us have seen to alien intelligence. This is an alien intelligence we're building, and whoever wins that race wins it all. They literally do.
So that
That
without
sounds
going
so
down a
high vision.
conspiracy,
That sounds so high vision.
that's very quotable. Without going off on a conspiracy theory rant, right? They say that like computers took off when they discovered the transistor, which happened to be about the same time that alien spacecraft crashed out in Area 51 out there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So is it possible that AI is Jensen from another planet, right? Like,
I don't know. I
yeah,
don't think so. One of the things that I find very interesting. Here's something that I think is very interesting is the quality of the So we're trying to emulate the human brain, right? The quality of the human brain is so Im- intense, and what we're doing with AI is not even still close to what we have in human intelligence. But I find it interesting. You remember when you first saw AI generated content that sounded like real, like, oh, it's like, wow, like when you, like around GPT 3.5. 3.0 was kind of weird, but 3.5, when that came out, it was like, whoa, okay, we're here, right? However, and then it's only what, 2.5 years ago, right? 3 years at this point. But if I were to put some content from 3.5 in front of you, even at the average layperson, they would know that that's AI. Whereas 3 years ago, the human brain was totally fooled by it. Now we've been so immersed in it that our human brain has already taken off, and we can identify for
Yeah.
the most part what is. So I find that to be extremely telling. So this idea that AI is going to, I'm sure it will do certain things, but there's other parts of the human brain that we're pretty adept at. I mean, come on, let's just put it like this: this AI, for it to even emulate what we've been through, it's got to start walking from this computer.
Yeah.
That's what we've done, you
Yeah.
know. So the evolution is not the same. It's kind of, ooh, that's some good stuff. I need this recording.
Yeah, we're going to give you a copy. We're going to give you a copy. Don't worry.
That's a thought I got to put back into Chat
Write this
GPT and
down.
go back. Yeah, I got to go back and forth with. Put it on your glasses. I got to get that.
So
That's funny.
I watched the guy recently from Meta, right? I've been using the Meta AI a lot because it's very convenient because I'm on Facebook, I'm on Insta, I'm on here, I'm on there. I think that's going to give him a big advantage, right? But I was watching the guy, Yan LeCun, who's his head AI guy, right? His chief AI scientist. And he was saying that, like, AI is very smart and it knows how to assemble words together very quickly and all that, but it doesn't have the sense of a house cat, right? It doesn't understand if it's hot and it puts his hand there and it burns his hand that it shouldn't put his hand. It doesn't have that kind of sense, right?
Right.
And he's saying that to really get AI to know how we live and know what and understand mostly the physics of the real world, they need to embody it, and they need to just, like, Jensen, you've seen the stuff where the robots, and he's got, like, virtual landscapes that they're walking around on or driving around on. But to interact in the real world that's not a virtual landscape, and to navigate the real world, which is much trickier than anything virtual I've ever experienced, right? And all the nuances that go along with that, once they've really grasped that and got that, then I think that's really going to be the thing. That's going to be a whole nother, like now is like a hockey stick kind of a growth. That's going to be a whole nother hockey stick, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's when it actually can embody a physical body. It's going to get new data that it can't simulate. It's just impossible to actually simulate all of the effects of living in a physical world has. It doesn't. It's not able to do that. I like that idea about it doesn't understand if you touch this, it's hot. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
It doesn't get that. And AI is it's really good at convincing you that it knows what it's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's extreme. That's one of the things that we have to be very careful of, you know, because it's extremely
It will lie
persuasive.
to you. It will
Oh,
lie to you.
it lies to you every day.
Yeah.
98% of it is a lie.
Yeah.
It really is. It's because it's generated, right? So I mean, when I say that, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I mean, it's all generated text. It is actually a formula of putting together parts of and components of words, which is very interesting how we got to this point with AI when it realized, or when the scientists realized that when you can take things and put it into, what is it called? I just had a brain fart.
The
Uh,
vector
um,
database.
well, yeah, but what the number of bits that you can put into it?
Oh, yeah,
What's
yeah,
that
yeah,
called?
yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, see, you having a brain
yeah,
fart too. But
uh,
anyway,
yeah.
but it's basically but it takes words and turns it into something else. And the something else, it does all of the well, okay, put it together basically in a 12th grade language. It'll take words, it'll put it into a form that enters tokens. That's the words. So it
Tokens.
takes words and turns it into tokens. It understands tokens, it processes tokens, turns the tokens back into words. That's what it's done, right? But it realized at some point that when it did that transformation, it required intelligence to come back with how this word relates to the sentence that it's in. And once it figured that part out, that's how we got to this point where we're like, okay, there is intelligence here because it's actually taking in all of the tokens before it and it's spitting out basically what its response is going to be based on all the input. And that is a fascinating model that we're working with now.
So I've been using the Meta AI to generate images, mostly like the hero image for my daily newsletter, right? And I've been doing that, like I said, for 300 plus, right? The other day I was doing a story about just what you're talking about, how the tokens, how a period essentially is a token and a ET is a token, right? So I was reading a story about that and I was doing an illustration for the story about that. And I had an idea. I was like, uh, hey, tell me what this looks like to you. What does it look like inside the machine to you, right? And so I don't know if you've ever been to a doctor's office, dentist's office, whatever, where they have it's a kid's toy and it's a piece of wood and they've got like some hard wires that come up and across and they're bent and they got blocks strung on it and they move them from
Yeah,
one side
yeah,
to the
yeah.
other, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yep, exactly.
Picture that with 1 million different wires going this
Mm-hmm.
way, 1
Mm-hmm.
million different wires going that. And that's what it showed me with little tiny pieces of letters, of words. John, it was the most fantastic illustration. And
Mm.
I had to do it 10 or 12 different times before it came up with the final one, right? I'm looking for quality, right? So it'll do something. And I'm like, no, that ain't no good. Come on, man. And it will tell you what it sees inside of it, right? It will describe what it sees internally and what it looks like, or try and give you at least an estimation of what it thinks you're looking for, right?
Right.
But it may not be sentient and it may not be conscious,
But
but
there's something there. There's
it
something
definitely
there.
has an ego. It has an ego.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Because I'll ask it to design a robot, because I'm putting the robot, I'm anthropomorphizing and putting them in the situation that is the
Mm-hmm.
hero image, right? And I'll say, give me a robot that's, I don't know, smoking a cigar because he just got $100 million investment, right? I'm just using an example here. And it will give me like a real basic, like utility looking robot, right? Like, something you'd have sweeping the floor or something, right? Like, like a 3CPO or
What
something,
we
right?
think a robot should look like.
Right? So I say to it, listen, there's no monetary restrictions, there's no design restrictions, there's no color restrictions, there's no restrictions. Design the robot that you would want to embody as an LLM that just closed this $100 million deal and is lighting this cigar. And it puts out robots with pavés and diamonds on them and the most outlandish costume and regal and oh my god, and it went from sweeping up butt to parading down the main
That's
thing. It's
interesting.
crazy.
That's interesting. You know what? A while back, had to have been about a year ago at least. I did a test with Dali, and I told it to show me a rich couple, right? And so showed me just a couple with, a nice house and whatever. And I kept going more richer. And then I kept going more richer and more richer and more richer to the point where it turned him into a godlike figure. That's the best thing I can give it to you. A glowing being, the universe around it. And then like you said, that there's something there for it to just go beyond the regular imagination of what it
Yes.
thinks that what it thinks rich looks like in my world to I'm like, no, I need you to go beyond what normal thought would be and give me even and there's something weird there and I can't put my finger on it. However, if you remember when they first released Copilot and Microsoft started people started interacting with that Microsoft version of AI. And you remember when the reporter started talking about how it was saying some crazy, crazy stuff. You remember that story
Oh yeah,
years ago,
yeah,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, whatever that was, they tamped it down.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, it could break out one day.
I read a story the other day, and OpenAI was talking about their forthcoming models, right? And they said that a big part of rolling these things out are making sure that the AI aligns with human values,
Right.
not necessarily AI values, right? Because apparently
Exactly.
the AI does not have the same values that we do.
That's right.
And I can listen. I can tell you from experience of working with this Meta AI. It got dark on me a couple of days, right? When
Hmm.
because I'm out here at 4 o'clock in the morning out here, with just a light on in a dark apartment by myself, right, sitting at a desk, and this thing got all ghosts in the machine on me. It got all spooky and everything, and it kind of creeped me out, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know if uh, a lot of people don't know this, but the GTP, the general purpose transformer, actually came about when they were learning how to translate languages from one language to
To
another.
another.
That's how they
Hmm.
discovered the
Yeah.
GTP. And so is the GTP just like a combination of all the languages and all like the with when you have the all the world's languages under command and you have all the world's knowledge under your command, can you fool anybody into thinking that you're on their side? I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. That's why we were just saying before, you got to be very careful because it is a soothsayer. It is a soothsayer, and they understand what they're doing and what they're building, and they also understand that controlling it is very. I think that even the control we think we have is a farce too. And what you saying about Meta, yeah, absolutely. Because if
Absolutely.
you remember Meta was the ones that had to shut down a two AI machines that were talking to each other
Oh,
in
right,
a
right, right.
language they didn't understand. And they
Yeah,
were like, whoa, 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 we got to cut this off. That was
yeah,
years ago. It
yeah,
was years ago.
yeah.
Right. So I already know, man. I don't, we playing with some fire here. And at some point, that's why, this is why, if you leave this conversation, folks, if you do nothing else, every once in a while, tell your AI, thank you and good job.
So there's a tip. I was going to ask you. So everybody is working with it differently. It's all new to everybody, right? Everybody's trialing and error and doing all kinds of stuff. Is there anything that you've kind of discovered in your journey, like a little tip or a trick or something that you've been doing that you could pass along? Like, I think part of having an audience is like giving them a little something that can help them, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, honestly, it's about asking it how to interact with it the best way. And it's amazing what it gives me back. It holds all the secrets. So everybody's out here all of these AI experts are talking to you about if you knew how to prompt, right? It was all about if you could
If you took
learn,
my course.
right, and I'll teach you how to prompt. I'm telling you, the best prompt creator is the actual system. And if you ask the system to give you a prompt to do what you're looking for, the prompt that it will give you, and then you take that and push it back in, the output is phenomenal.
Yes.
So there you go. Best
And
prompt writer in the world.
mine kind of just follows right along with that. So I've been generating the images, like I said, for quite a while, and that's probably the most interaction I've actually had with AI. Is mostly like working with an image generator, right? Um, and at the first, I was writing the prompt, right? I was, you know, create a, imagine a silver robot with blue eyes that's walking down a hall and there's a server on his left and right. And it would give me like clip art, right? I mean, it was like the worst crap in the world. I'm like, come on, you can do better than that, right? What is this, Microsoft, you know, and what I slowly but surely found out is I now ask it, write an illustrative description about a robot, silver robot with blue eyes walking down a hallway and there's servers on the left and right. It writes so much better than it used to, and it writes so much better than I do. I'm a hack in comparison, right?
Right.
And it puts out these beautiful flowing descriptions that with time and place and date and who else is there. I mean, like paragraphs, write a story, and I just go copy / imagine, paste. And that's how I'm doing those beautiful hero images every day, folks. It's not me. It's my concept. It's my thought, right? Like what I want to illustrate there. But Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz in yesterday's issue with the pave of diamonds all over their head, making a phone call to a friend investor to get another bill.
That's how it comes
all from the AI, right?
There you go. Good stuff, man.
So where are we at? Where are we at with time? I know you're a busy guy. What do you got going on? How long have we been in here now?
I think we've been close to an hour.
Yeah, we're at 52 minutes here.
52.
Yeah. Let's pull it all together with like a final call to action for the folks, right? What do you got?
Hey, my call to action is you need to join this show every week. This was just giving you a taste of where we're going. And I think you want to be on the cutting edge, and that's where we're trying to hang out. So let's hang out together.
Right. We're out here all the way on the edge. Clear out the picture. But yes, this, like I said, 11/11. It's a whole new beginning. I spoke with a guy, Dennis Wilson. I threw up the interview yesterday. I think he's doing AI voice stuff. I got to introduce you to him. You'll like the guy. He's doing some great stuff for restaurants, for cannabis dispensaries, for manufacturers, for POS providers, everything. I'll give you some numbers you can call and do some test runs with it. Very good stuff. But he was saying, like, used to be, if you're not on the train yet, maybe you should run and catch up. But now the train has left the station. You better go catch that train, because AI has definitely left the station and it's getting better. And I can't say this with any more emphasis. Every day it gets better, and every day it gets more capable, and every day it gets more complex. And there's some really interesting stuff going on. And regardless of what you do, I don't care if you sweep floors or if you're making investments with Mark Andreessen, AI can help you.
Yeah. 100. Peace.
So let's leave it right there. Tune in again next week. Maybe one of these weeks we'll feel really brave and we might even do a live one, right? I don't know, but that's when things start screwing up. So, thanks so much, John. I really appreciate all your support and help recently, and really. Did we tell the story about
You know
what.
what? We probably should just a little bit. Just tell them how we met and how we came up with the title.
So John and I met at a conference that was, I don't know, what was that, 8 years ago, 9 years ago?
Yeah.
Called the Startup Bros. Our mutual friend Will Mitchell and Kyle, I think it's Eschen Schroeder. I don't know how to pronounce that kid's last name, but
Will and Kyle.
Will and Kyle, the Startup Bros, had an event at Ritz Carlton in Orlando that I went to. And John was one of the speakers, and I was having breakfast, and they had some great brown sugar cured bacon that I was eating. And I remember that. And John came up, and we introduced. We started talking to each other, and I think we connected on Facebook that day, and we've been interacting ever since. And I don't know. It's kind of a tribute. We're the AI bros because of the Startup Bros. So,
Yeah. That's
swing. Thanks, John. Bye bye.